Welcome to the Whitetail Obsession Podcast with Dave Richmond and co-host Chris Worthing, where we talk and teach everything deer and turkey hunting related. Follow along as we help teach you tips and techniques about hunting, food plots, and habitat management strategies that everyone can use.
Podcast 102. Dad's in the ICU recovering from triple bypass surgery.
He got a pig valve.
He did. He took veins out of his leg to do the bypass, but talked to him a little while ago, and his spirits are up. He's walking halls, and the nurses are fiddling with all his meds and keeping him company, and sound like he's doing good.
It's good.
Yeah,
He's gonna run circles around you
he is. He's going to pass me on hiking trails.
while you're back there going like this.
Right.
My neck.
Right. Checking pulse rate.
Checking your neck.
Yep. So you had a topic that you wanted to cover, and I agree with you because
Yeah.
it's been cold.
I've been sitting in a stand and thinking, crap, we got to talk about ways to keep warm while we're out here suffering.
I'll tell you what.
That's what it seems like. It just seems like suffering.
Yeah. And honestly, it wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't the wind. But here in Maryland tomorrow, they're calling for like 45-mile-an-hour winds.
Ooh.
So it's going to be brutally cold tomorrow with this wind. And then Saturday and Sunday was opening day of rifle. And I posted a video on my YouTube channel for my hunt Saturday. And the wind was just, it was whipping. It was cold.
Yeah. There was a lot of wind noise on that video. I could tell it was bad there.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's ways, to keep warm. Some people have, name brand clothing. Others find other ways to do it. I suffered for many years shivering in the stand. So, as I've gotten older, I invested some money in clothing, and I don't shiver no more. I hated being cold like that. So now I've kind of got like a good system down to where, I don't sit there and shiver.
Right.
Everybody's got their own little system down pat. So why don't you give some ideas?
Well,
Maybe. This is what happens.
With that, good.
This is what happens. You probably go in the woods and start doing jumping jacks to keep warm.
No, I just sweat like a maniac getting to my stand.
And then you freeze to death.
Then I freeze to death. But from a technical side of it, all clothing aside and things you can wear to stay warm, folks, one of the most important things is staying hydrated. Being hydrated with water, not carbonated drinks, not coffees and caffeines and monsters and energy drinks, things like that. Just literally being hydrated with water will help your system circulate better and will help you stay warm.
Do you know why you lose more moisture in the wintertime?
Why
do you lose more, or why you can get dehydrated more in the wintertime?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me that one?
Exhausting
it's just breathing your water vapor out.
Yeah.
You know, when you breathe and you exhale and you see that what people say smoke or steam or whatever.
Yeah, it's all moisture out of your
Yeah,
body.
it's moisture coming off, And of course, keeping your head covered.
Yeah, that's big.
Any exposed skin covered. But then now we can talk about your layering and things. One of the things I don't do anymore, and I made the mistake in the past, was putting cotton next to my skin. Because the cotton will actually hold the moisture, and it takes a long time for it to dry. So it keeps your skin moist. And when it is windy, boy, that really, it just that'll make you shiver.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? What do you put next to your skin, right? That's what you ask. Well, like an Under Armour type product, something wicking, um, 80s spandex, if you have any left. I know you do, Dave.
If I ever seen you in spandex, I will kill you.
Wear that Speedo underneath
Mm,
your hunting suit, Dave,
right.
and that'll help you stay warm.
Yeah.
You know what I've heard? I've heard pantyhose will help you stay warm. How many pairs do you have
Uh,
on?
I got none.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to see me in pantyhose.
You'll laugh, but I tried it once.
I don't know.
I
I
read
don't know who
about it.
you are anymore.
I'm dying over here. I read about it and I said to the wife, "Got any old pantyhose?" She's like, "What?" I said, "I got to try this." So I tried it, and it was
Freak.
very, very uncomfortable.
I'm sure.
And when the wind blew, it went straight through it anyhow.
Mm,
If it's not windy, it did help a little bit, like your Under Armour type stuff. And that's another thing. Like I don't know, putting that Under Armour stuff next to your skin, if you don't have enough layers over it, you will freeze to death.
mm,
So if you do, I mean, it helps wick moisture, but you better have enough stuff on over top of it that the wind doesn't, you know, accelerate and go right through that,
yeah.
or you will shiver to death.
I hate shivering, and honestly, the past 3 years, I have not shivered one time.
Really?
Yeah, just I. I mean,
S-
it's nippy, like it's cold,
Oh
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
shivering, and
You're right, right.
that's what ended my hunts years ago. Because I'm just in the stand, I'm just the whole
Yeah,
time I'm just shaking, and that's not good. It's not good to get that way.
yeah. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but the older and wiser you get, that's the way you have to transition out of that. Uh you have to figure out what's going to work for you.
Hmm.
I in years past, did not he was buying that big bulky clothing thinking it was going to keep you warm, but it wasn't windproof and it would just cut right through you.
Hmm.
You was fine sitting still and when the wind wasn't blowing, but once the wind picked up, you
Yeah,
was done.
the
You was
wind can
done.
take you out very quickly.
Yep.
It's funny. It's not funny, but I was scrolling through Facebook Saturday and in the stand, just looking at stuff, and I always see the PA hunting group page pop up, and there's some comical stuff on there. But what I seen the most was F this. I could only hunt 2 hours. The wind, was so cold. I just couldn't do it. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And here I am. I was good. Because I finally found that system
Yeah.
to keep me warm. And I was hundreds of comments. They're like, yeah, this is it's too cold, too cold, too cold, too
Yeah.
cold. I could only sit for 2 hours. And then I came out at like 11:45. I drove 5 miles down to a local chicken joint, uh, great barbecue, and I went in there, seen all the hunters, and they were just, I mean, they were like, yeah, it's just too cold, and I can only sit for 2 3 hours. So there's ways to do it.
I mean, it was brutal, but if you layer up the right way,
Yeah,
I like to. I mean, obviously we purchased some heated vests and we use some heated vests now.
I did
But
not use my heated vest this
I did
weekend.
not either. I had given it to my son and let him use it.
Hmm.
So what I did instead, though, is where I was going next was uh, before I had heated vest. What I always did, and this sounds crazy, but the last layer I would put on underneath my coat would be one of those. nylon vests that everybody hates because they when you walk, they're wispy and scratchy sounding. They sound horrible in the cold, but if you have that underneath your jacket
No
and you're
noise.
warm, there's no noise. And
Mhm.
I think that's why um if you purchase a good like those puffer jackets, those real lightweight ones, but they're like down filled, and yeah, they're that wispy material, but if you put that underneath your last layer,
Mhm.
man, that for me seems to help me out a lot. Um, I have a green wispy vest that's downfilled, and I had a different one, an orange one also, and that's I wore the orange one underneath my coat because I gave the boy because he struggles so bad with that Crohn's, and uh, that he's always cold anyhow. So I gave up the heated vest
Did
and
he
let
get
him.
cold?
Um, he wasn't shivering cold, but he was cold, of course. Um, but I told him don't put it on anything except for low because if we're going to stay out all day, you're going to run out of battery life,
Mhm.
you know. And at one point, he looked back at me and he's like, "Dad, um, shouldn't I be feeling heat?" And I'm like, "Well, I think you are, but you don't know it, you know. Like it's it's in there working, believe me, bud." I said, "It's working for you." I said, "But you might not be feeling warmth straight to your skin because you have so many layers on,
Yeah.
but it's definitely helping you." And at one point, um, we was getting ready to move from one spot to another spot because where we went first thing in the morning was dead, and on opening day, and he said, "Can I put it on medium for a little while?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Well, he's halfway out of the woods. He's like, "I'm burning up." He's like, "Hey, this thing, it's making me hot. I gotta turn it off." So I was like, "Oh, it's working now, huh?" He's like, "Yeah."
They work
So
good.
they do work well. So what I'm going to do is uh, I'm gonna try to find a pair of those heated pants now.
Mm.
Um, I think they're kind of like a base layer with heat in them, is what they are. I don't think they're actually pants, but I'm gonna try to find a pair of them and try them out maybe. Um, because when I sit, the fronts of my like from my kneecaps to my thighs, that seems to get cold on me for my legs. I think I got my top figured out, but my legs from my kneecaps to my thighs get chilly. Um, but yeah, proper layering actually, um, boy, it does wonders if you get that figured out. Uh, I don't have all the expensive brands of camos and things. I just figured out some products that work for me, and
Mhm.
they're not name brand stuff necessarily. Some of it is mix and match. Some of it is different materials. Some of it's down filled, and some of it is wool. So I use a mixture of things.
Mhm.
Um, so like obviously I'm going to ask you what you use, but in this podcast too, the reason why I brought this up was I want people to comment and tell us their system, what is working for them or what they think they need to improve on, to keep warm because it was nasty cold in the teens last weekend here.
With the wind.
So yeah. So what is your workable system, David?
Well, I know I still got one thing to master, and that is to keep my feet warm. Because
I have issues.
Saturday, dude, my feet were ice. I mean, I was playing footsies with myself in my
Yeah.
boots, trying to keep my feet warm, and it would help a little bit, but my feet were, I mean, ice.
And I agree. And that is one of the things I did want to bring up is um one thing I was reading about was actually your body, and this goes back to technical stuff again, your body through hydration helping you, but your major muscles harbor a lot of heat. So
Mhm.
they told you to like flex and move a lot. And I know you're hunting and you don't want to move a lot, but I tend to, like you said, do the footsie things or do calf raises or something in the stand.
Mhm.
I kind of keep moving, and flexing my toes and the arches of my feet and things, and squeezing muscle groups and things, trying to keep that circulation, because you're, like I said, your muscles hold a lot of heat for you. So I'm sorry, but I had remembered that when you said about the feet. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm still working on that. While in the stand, I was searching for something, and I think I'm going to invest next year in a good pair of heated insoles.
Mm,
I had some like 2 years ago, but they were cheap junk, junk. Um, so I think I want to try heated insoles.
mm-hmm.
Um, because that was my feet. That was stupid. At the time I got back to the hotel at the end of the day, my feet were, I mean, just red ice.
And then they
Um,
burn when you get back into the heat,
yeah, burn. I took a shower and
burn and
then
itch. Ugh.
I I never sleep with socks on. So that
Ah,
night I slept with socks on. I woke up the next day. I stepped onto the ground. My feet just were sore from just
uh,
being cold. So
yeah.
that part's still stupid. So I got to fix that. But um, I was warm. So I wear it's called the furnace base layers from First Light.
Mm,
It's merino wool.
yeah.
So I wear that on my bottom, and then on the top I wear a wick shirt from First Light, and then I put the furnace over top of that, and then I had a hooded zip up hooded thin jacket, and then I wore my QU, the new ones I just bought. I told everybody I'd give a review, but I wore the QU coveralls and then the
Mm-hmm.
jacket.
Mm-hmm.
No vest, nothing like that, and I was warm.
You
Wind the
know, I'm
the
sorry.
wind was whipping. I never felt nothing penetrated. Like I was warm.
You know, one article of clothing I will not wear when I hunt, and I
Mhm.
hear a lot of people talk about it, and I refuse to wear it, is a hoodie.
I do not wear a hoodie, no.
I will not wear a hoodie because the wind goes straight down in through the neck,
Yeah.
and you can't keep that closed enough,
Mhm.
So what I do to combat that is I always wear a neck gaiter of some sort,
Yep. Yeah, they work good.
and when you have all that extra material all bulged up around here, it kind of seals up that area so the wind doesn't whip down in there,
Yeah.
because my neck is the thing. If my neck gets cold, I'm shot.
Mhm. Well, that's why I wear this zip up jacket, thin one, because it zips all the way up to my nose.
Hmm.
It goes all the way up, and then the hood comes over real tight.
Hmm.
And then I put my jacket on, and then that also had a hood on it. So that's what I wore. And then I pulled my orange
Beanie.
pullover beanie on over top of
Yeah.
that. I was warm. I had fingerless gloves on, thin pair of
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
I had three hand warmers inside of a hand warmer
Yeah.
tube.
Hand muff. Yep.
Um, I was good, but I tell you one thing: the the uh, the hand warmers were so warm inside my hand tube, it
Yeah.
was creating moisture.
Yes.
So when I took my hands out, my hands had moisture, and
They were sticking to your gun.
my hands were ice.
Yeah.
I mean, from the knuckle up. I mean, just ice.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually was pulling my hands out of my pockets and adjusting the gun, and my the moisture in my skin stuck to my gun barrel. I was
Yeah,
like, oh
it,
crap.
it was cold. I
It was
mean, it was
bitter.
cold out.
Very bitter.
So,
Now here we are, just throwing this in here. Here we are talking about all this clothing and high tech stuff. And what about the homeless people? What are they doing?
I know.
How do they do this? But I mean,
Well,
that's a whole different subject. But
yeah,
you know,
I see them. They got multiple blankets. Thick
yeah,
blankets they're using. People give
I
them jackets and coats and.
starting from toes up, I as well. Um, I purposely did not wear rubber boots. How about you?
You
Did you
know,
wear rubber boots?
I did. I wore
I did
six.
not.
They were 1,600 gram rubber boots.
Okay.
1,600. That was probably a mistake,
I
but I don't have a real good insulated pair of lace up boots.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what I did is in years past, and you and we've been struggling for ever since we met. We've been talking back and forth about how do we keep our feet warm,
mhm,
and we were struggling buying different boots, different rubber boots with different gram of thinsulate or whatever in them, and we just could not find anything. And so last year I bought a pair of hiking boots, just a lace up leather pair of hiking, and they're not insulated. But I found that my feet in rubber boots were sweating so bad on the way in that I froze once I got on stand.
mhm,
And a lot of times I was carrying spare socks and stuff and changing them, but it just wasn't doing the trick. So I found that just wearing those uninsulated leather boots I didn't have to change socks even, that my feet stayed dry on the way in, and they did just as well as me changing socks and rubber boots and that type of thing. They didn't feel any colder or any warmer, let's put it that
mhm.
way. There was no noticeable difference, so and they were lighter and more maneuverable, uh, but I still had the issue of cold feet.
Yeah.
So, you know
Yeah, I looked online. They do sell I can't remember the brand. I think it was on Cabela's website. It's a 2,000 gram lace up boot. 2,000 gram.
Mhm.
Um, I thought about maybe buying them for next year and trying that, but that's my last hurdle is my feet. My feet
Yeah.
always have always been cold, but
I
I'm
wonder I'm
I'm
just throwing
tired of
this
it.
out there. I wonder if that warming store, that one store, I wonder they have all kinds of heated socks in there. I wonder if any of them are any good.
So the past 2 years, I bought one pair of heated insoles. They were like 69 bucks off Amazon. Total junk. Um, then I bought two pairs of heated socks. 100% junk.
Hmm.
Now, the one pair of heated socks were like 70 bucks. The other pair was like $129, I think. And
Ooh.
they were from Gobi Heat, I believe it's called. And they're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a good brand. Junk. I mean,
Oh.
the remote wouldn't connect, the battery was dying, and it
Hmm.
barely felt any heat. But I did some after research a little bit this weekend because I was I was fighting with my feet, and they do make expensive pair of heated insoles. There's
Mm-hmm.
several companies that make them. I mean, we're talking like 200 bucks,
Mm-hmm.
250. So I don't know if that would be legit or not, or it would be better to buy, the 200 gram insulated lace up boots. You know,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a gamble unless somebody's listening has a really good pair of heated insoles or
Yeah. And
electric.
that's another reason, like I said, why I wanted to do this. This is also viewer feedback. We want to know. We're asking. We
Mhm.
want to know because our feet are freezing. I mean, and part of the problem too is not having enough room in a boot. I think, like having too tight of a boot, or
I got a half size bigger.
or people put two pairs of socks on and now the boot's tight. You know
Hmm.
that type of thing. Um, I mean, I've tried all that. I even tried those. Remember those socks that used to have like the aluminum woven into them, and they were shiny like Michael Jackson's glove?
Hmm. Yep, I tried them.
I mean, that stuff I used to wear. That stuff. I mean, but yeah, if you don't have enough room in those boots, you will freeze that way as well, you know.
Yeah,
So I always have to, like you said, like a half size bigger or so. I
yeah.
got to have a little bit of room, or I'll even purposely wear a thin sock. And you're thinking, whoa, that defeats the purpose. But if you have room in there, a little air cushion there, a little insulation, it's actually better than having it tight, wadded up, cutting the circulation off.
Well, in the morning, I wore one pair of heavyweight socks and then my
Mhm,
rubber boots, ice. The afternoon, when I got back after lunch, I went right back in. I put a thin pair of socks on, then the heavyweight socks.
mhm,
And I felt like that made a little bit of a difference. My feet didn't get as cold,
mhm.
but they were still cold.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm 50-50. Either get a good pair of heated insoles or buy the 2,000 gram lace up boots, and they weren't really that expensive,
Yeah.
so the boots were cheaper than the good pair of heated insoles.
Right. Right.
So
Remember the old gray socks that used to take the D battery on the side,
yeah.
the
Hmm.
electric sock? I mean, those actually did work a little bit, but you would get like 3 or 4 hours out of them. And it wasn't enough to keep you warm, but it was enough to keep you from thinking about your toes being cold, you
Yeah,
know? I mean,
yeah.
it just kept the chill away. It fought the chill for a couple hours, but then the battery would die. It eats batteries. I even tried getting like rechargeable D's and keeping numerous ones in my pockets, but yeah, 2, 3, 4 hours max.
I like
And
I like D's.
oh, stop it. So, uh, yeah, I just don't know
You're
a good
you're
thing to
stuttering now.
use.
I caught
I
you
just
off guard.
You
I caught
did.
you off track.
And maybe when we go, if I go to Harrisburg,
Hmm.
uh, we need to really scrounge around for something there and find something to keep toes warm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out
So,
eventually.
so going from the feet up, then right now I would put on a base layer on my legs,
Hmm.
and then I covered that with a pair of real thin, worn out sweatpants that I have, and then and then I would put on a name brand uh, pair of pants, hunting pants that were not flannel lined, but what's that other stuff called? The fuzzy stuff. Um,
Oh,
oh,
like
what's it called?
fleece
Not fleece, but
down.
no, I can't think of it. But anyhow,
Duck, duck feathers, goose feathers.
so I had those 3 layers on, and then I put my bibs over that.
Yeah.
So I actually have 4 layers on my legs. Um, and on my torso, I would have like a Under Armour type shirt first,
You look
and
like the
then
Michelin guy.
I tell you, you talk about layers. I have the Under Armour type shirt with a turtleneck long sleeve over it, and then a um a boy just left me.
The D's got you messed up.
Yes, it did. So there would be a third shirt, and then I have that zip up sweater that has a really high neck on it. Like you said before, you could zip that thing up over your nose. I put that on, and then over that, I would usually use the heated vest, but I gave that to the boy, so I had
Mm.
just a regular vinyl, or yeah, vinyl vest and nylon vest. I'm sorry, nylon vest, and then my hunting coat.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, it sounds like a lot, but they're all real thin,
Yeah.
But but all those thin layers, and that helps cut. That holds the heat and cuts the wind. Um, that's personally what I wear on the coldest stuff. And then, like I said, the neck gaiter. I always have neck gaiter on, and at minimum, I have it pulled up below my nose. I try not to put it over my nose because all that water vapor gets that thing wet, and then your face freezes.
Yep.
Literally, like the
Yeah.
boy had it up over his nose, and he's like, "Dad, my face is cold." I said, "Pull that thing down underneath your nose."
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And then the beanie, my mom bought me a beanie a couple years back, and it's 2 layers, so it's really really thick. And so I mean, we sat on stand. It was 15 degrees. We sat for 4 hours straight, um, and we would have stayed there longer, but we never seen a deer. So I told him, if we don't see a deer by 10 a.m., we're getting out of here. So
Mm-hmm.
we did. We got down and left and went to a different spot. Um, but getting back to those guys you seen on Facebook saying this sucks, it's too cold, blah blah blah. That was part of the problem though, with not seeing any deer on stand, was it was so flippin' cold that the deer were obviously huddled up somewhere, and the hunters, what few were out there, they were either sitting tight like me, or we heard people leaving like after an hour, like people driving down the road leaving. They were coming out off the property.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the camps were full of people around here, and because they weren't out in the woods,
Yeah.
nobody was moving. We didn't see anybody but that one fella. Uh, it just wasn't anything moving. It was so dang cold.
So I had the opposite effect. I saw deer out the yin yang.
That's crazy. You did too,
I
and
I
and
mean,
I watched that video and I was like, wow, they're really really
th-
moving for you.
there was deer all morning long. Every 15 minutes, here come a different deer. I
But
mean,
they weren't being pushed though, were they?
nope, they came through normal.
They was just normal travel
Yep.
through there.
Yep.
And that's what I like. I like normal travel.
Yeah, that's what I like. But the key to that was that property hasn't been pressured. I haven't
Yeah.
hunted it. So
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
when you have an unpressured property, that's what happens. Now, I didn't see nothing big,
Yeah.
that I wanted to shoot, but I still had a good time, and they were unpressured, they were moving naturally, and I saw a lot of deer. I saw
Yeah.
probably 10 different bucks and
Right.
over 10 different does. And then a quick story is that I saw bucks and does bed together.
Mhm.
They were bedded right there, 50 yards from me. And, we're always told by the, you know,
Elites.
elites that bucks and does bed separately and you need separate bedding and this and all this crap. And yeah, a
Silly.
deer beds when it
Silly.
gets tired, they lay up, they whatever, is there times where bucks and does bed together? Sure. But
Sure.
when it's not absolute, it's not guaranteed.
Right.
It's just nothing in deer hunting is guaranteed. So
Right.
um I have it on video, bucks and
Yeah.
two. It was actually in the video, I couldn't really see what was going on, but when I finally broke a branch and got the deer up to get out of there because I wanted to get down to go eat, I snapped a branch. There was actually 3 bucks bedded there
Huh.
and 4 does,
Okay.
and they were all within 10 yards of each other, bedded down. Now they bedded down. A couple bedded early in the morning, like 8:30, and then they got up and started moving around again. But the majority of action slowed around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I didn't see much action around 11, so I got down at like
Yeah.
11:45, went to eat. I was back in the stand by like 12:50. Right around 2 o'clock, I
Yep.
started seeing all the action again, just cruising through.
Yeah.
I had a little button buck come right underneath my stand eating browse.
Mhm.
I saw 3 different bucks with one side of their antler broke off. The whole antler was broke off.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of that. Does. It was fun. I mean, I didn't see nothing. big worth shooting, but
Yeah.
that's your typical PA situation,
Yeah. You're either in them or you're not. So switching gears real fast, and then we're over our time limit. We got to get out of here. But
That's right. You got a bedtime.
what are you seeing? My cell cams are lighting up. I
Yeah.
still have them over scrapes, and my scrapes are starting to get hit again. I
Hmm.
mean, not like paw on the ground, crazy, but the deer are coming back to my scrapes, buck and doe. What are you seeing?
I sent you to buck today on public land. It's been lighting up about 3 days in a row now. A buck's it was dead for about 12, 15 days.
Yeah.
Now the past 3 days it's lighting up again.
Yep.
Daylight pictures, mostly in the morning, but there's a good buck on camera, daylight, on public land that I'm going after on Saturday.
Yep.
So we'll with my bow.
I
So
had a
we'll
good
see.
one at 9:38 in the morning or something
Mm,
yesterday.
yeah,
Yeah, he's a good one. So
yeah. Now
they're
this public
starting.
land that I'm going to, you can't gun hunt.
Oh,
It's bow only.
okay.
So I'll be going bow hunting Saturday.
All right. All righty. That's
All right.
episode 102. So you guys let us know what techniques, clothing, whatever's working for you. Um help us out.
Feet.
Our
How do you keep
toes are
feet
cold.
warm? Yeah,
Our toes are cold. Help
right.
us.
Help us.
All right, 102. There you go.
All right.
See ya.